interested to see like how this experience was for you. This is like an organization or an entity or individuals that like I believe we both hold in high regard. Yes, sir. So
can you read that though or no?
I think so. Yeah. Sorry, Gainz Nation. Kids, hide your kids, hide your wives. But yeah, let's without further ado, people are like, oh my goodness, this sounds like amazing. Like what was this like this unbelievable transformation? Buddy, let's get into it. Gainz Nation, welcome in.
Gainz Nation. Well, first off, also too, just so you guys know, we've been doing some coffee chats, and I just wanted to open up with like, hopefully, if you guys, obviously this is the beginning, please let us know like what you want to hear about the coffee chats, and also like let us know if the feedback is good. The whole meaning behind that, and I can explain it really quickly, is they're minute-long videos. So like they were never meant to be like 5-minute long videos. But like if you guys want something like that, because like Roman and I have talked about it, like how do we do like shorter versions of the podcast so we can release more content, so we can give more content to you, make it easier, digestible. So like the minute ones, I don't really do like much background and like prepping for it, because the fact that, like I said, they're a minute long. But like I know Roman's been trying to experiment and like would like your guys' like feedback. Like say like, hey, like Eric Helms has been doing like a research study, like what is it, like once a week or something like that, where he goes through a study, and I think it's like a longer format, like regular a longer format video instead of like a short reel. So let us know what you guys think about that, and let us know if like you want Roman and I to do like, like I don't even know if you remember, Roman, when I used to do the short Gainz instead of like Gainz podcast, short Gainz.
Yeah. Yeah, I do
like
remember that.
What was it, like 5 minutes or less?
Yeah. We drew.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we drew inspiration from Andrew Schultz, who he like kind of put out some content about like we want to build trust with Gainz Nation. So now that we mentioned that, if you're listening, please like, comment, subscribe. We almost never ask that kind of thing, and so many creators put that information out. Buddy, I don't know if it's like today, but it's definitely around this time of year. This is marking our 4-year anniversary of doing the Gainz podcast. So that's 4 years that we've been bringing quality content in the fitness, health, nutrition space. We're making that Gainz train roll on. I think that was something that we learned from Andrew Schultz, that we gave a try, the comedian. And essentially like his perspective is you need to be able to trust us, right? We've made no money. Antoine and I, this is a horrible business decision so far that we've kept this going for 4 years. Like we are like committed at this point. Gainz Nation, if we showed you our checking accounts or rather I guess my Venmo for Gainz podcast, you would laugh us out of the dang city, because we're like we probably put like $1,000+ into this and made this much money from this. As much as we joke about our subscribers and stuff like that, I do believe we have a sponsorship-ish situation. Check out the Gainz Podcast IG for that. I think we have our own discount code for ATG equipment. So if you like
Gainz Podcast.
Gainz Podcast. So if you like ATG equipment, that's by Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy. I actually have seriously been considering getting the Nordic ham curl machine. I think it's called something like that. It might be like a GTR, glute ham raise, something along those lines. I think you probably know what I mean. I'm just rambling on at this point.
I think he couldn't name it what you said, because the fact that I think it already is copyrighted or patented with that name. I don't know what the heck the legal term is for that, but I think you're spot on. Like it's like named something like that.
Yeah, so Nordic ham curl, Nordic knees over toes guy, machine, thingamabobber, Gainz podcast, 10% off. I'm like really repping it right now. But anywho, so Andrew Schultz, he essentially put out this idea that it's like, if you're gonna like trust me as a comedian, putting out like, silly content, like brightening your day, entertaining you, whatever value you find, like, are you more likely to click on like an hour-long segment and like watch my HBO special, or do you want to see like a 1 to 5 minute clip of me roasting like somebody in the crowd? So no matter what you think about Andrew Schultz from like a political perspective, could be a mixed bag. I think he is a pretty silly, funny guy from like a comic or a comedian standpoint. So that's kind of where we got that, the short games. And I cut you off so stinking rude, buddy. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
fine. The only other thing I did want to bring up, Roman, is I forgot that I saw Andrew Huberman. Speaking of, Huberman and this water bottle. I went to go see Andrew Huberman last Thursday. I know we kind of brought it up on the podcast last week, but I actually went through it and saw it and whatnot. And it was a wonderful time. I mean, we could definitely talk about it the whole episode, but I kind of just like kind of sum it up. But like it was nice because compared to because it's kind of like the podcast, right? It's very information driven, but it's like more of a free form of speech. But it was at the Chicago Theater. If you haven't been there, it's like I don't know, an opera house theater type setup, Roman. You'd think that's like the best description. And I don't think I haven't been to like the Chicago Theater since I saw Paramore like back in the day.
What? No way.
Yeah, when Paramore was actually like quite like of a small band.
Nothing
And I didn't even realize
compares
they released a new album like last month or 2 months ago. So.
Oh man, my step bro, Johnny B. Shout out to Johnny B. He would be hating on me right now. He was him and his wife were, I don't know if they still are, but were such big Paramore fans.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Paramore, that's a blast from the past.
I feel
that? Like I only went to one theater in like the quote unquote theater district in Chicago. I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it was the one that you that like I saw you post on IG. I do remember like I walked by that several times.
One?
I'm not sure. I think it's further.
Because the Netherlands one's like 2 blocks west.
It's further down. I don't remember if it's east or west, but it's further down. Like definitely at least a couple blocks. I saw Love Never Dies. Like Phantom of the Opera, Love Never Dies. It's like part 2 of Phantom of the Opera. But that's the only time I ever went to a theater. But yeah, how was the fan or like the occupant engagement? Like, was he like engaging with people with like Q&A, and was it like pretty free flowing, or was it just kind of him like going over like I think he called it like the mind body connection, or it was very
the
like
brain body contract. And this is also what they handed out too. So with the filter and the thing, so it's gonna be hard. So it pretty much gives you some like it's kind of like a small book. It's like like 20 or 19 pages, and it kind of goes over what he went through, but just a little bit more things like, like, hey, if you want prescriptive focus, like, hey, what do we need? Hey, what do we need for what does he recommend? Alpha GPC, tyrosine, caffeine. What do you for rest? What does he like kind of prescribe with like his sleep toolkit? Like the supplement side, magnesium, epigen, theanine, ashwagandha, which I currently started taking again. So I guess I could throw that out there. Only 300 milligrams once a day at nighttime, and then non-sleep deep rest. So he kind of, it's pretty neat, this little book he gave us, because it is like a little book, and it's pretty awesome. They gave us AG1 was there, obviously. They gave us like a 5-pack sample pack, and they gave us a water bottle. We took 3 bags instead of 2. They just literally did not care. They were just like, here, have whatever. We could have took like 5 or 6 water bottles and like 5 or 6 sample packs, which could have gave me a month's supply. But I was like, okay, maybe I don't need this stuff. But I would have loved if they would have just gave me like a month's supply. I have been taking it since last Thursday, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So for, more than a couple days now, I got like 2 more days left. Honestly, for a greens drink, really, really liking it. I've had like 2 or 3 like greens, like Derek from More Plates, More Dates, um, suggested one from Amazon called like Super Greens. Honestly, that tasted like kind of like disgusting. I mean, it mixed well, but it was like disgusting, the taste. But anyways, I don't want to get too much into it. Well, I guess we still have time, but yeah. So he pretty much went like through his like background, like kind of where he started, some of the people that like, obviously were a part of his life, which was like pretty cool because like I don't know if he's ever really talked about it besides probably on other people's podcasts, which I don't really tend to listen to Huberman unless it's on his own podcast. So he might have mentioned it, but that's like new for me. Um, then honestly the biggest piece besides the Q&A, which I'll get into, was the neuroplasticity within adults. So the whole idea that our neuroplasticity can change um, in adulthood, and a lot of the research and a lot of people always suggested like it does not. And I think it even has, maybe I'll just read the definition too, because I'm pretty sure the neuroplasticity definition is in here. Neuroplasticity is the ability of our nervous system, our brains, eyes, and spinal cord to rewire and learn new behavior, skills, and cognitive functioning. So, pretty much, obviously, like as a child and growing up as an adolescence, you're very plastic. You could change, you can adapt, your skills, your repetitive movements, your habits, stuff like that. He kind of talked about in like how, as an adult, like how things could work in that aspect. But yeah, a lot of the large portion, because he pretty much talked like for an hour, and then the Q&A actually was probably the bigger piece of it, where he put up like a QR code and you submit your questions. And
Oh,
I guess,
nice.
yeah, I guess whatever the ones got like the most likes were like the first ones that pop up. So like it was like, okay, I'm 70 years old. How do I keep functioning at my best? How do I keep my mental game the best? How do I keep my physical game at the best? And he kind of went it from like a, neuroscientist aspect and the neuro side of things. And, but like the Q&A was probably, I would say, the larger portion, but I'm not too sure. We stayed for about like 30 to 45 minutes of the Q&A. Unfortunately, like we parked in a pretty nice spot by the Chicago theater, and it was like a 2 hour max. And and see, the thing is, it wasn't really clear if like, hey, after 9 p.m., is it free or, unmonitored. And Roman knows Chicago, you never trust those things, because it wasn't clearly stated. So I didn't want to get my car ticketed or towed. So unfortunately, we did have to hop out of there. But it was a nice experience, like I said. The crowd, I think you asked that question too, Roman. It's crazy. It's like there was a lot of like, it seemed like a lot of like science folks and science nature and like doctors. There's like people coming there with scrubs on. There wasn't really a lot of meatheads, right? I felt like I was like a bigger meathead compared to people. And then when I tell my wife, like, hey, like, why is there not that many meatheads? And she goes, you're really not a meathead either. You're kind of a nerd yourself. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. uh, but no, it was really cool. Honestly, like I said, it's a really nice experience to be a part of, especially when he only did 2 shows out of the year. Um, and yeah, um, yeah, I was gonna say I wish I could have just hung out with him and like did a podcast after, but he's a big time now. He's a pretty big, he has a pretty big podcast and a big celebrity side of him. So anything else, Roman, you wanted to ask me before we move on?
I love the piece from like you went over like kind of what neuroplasticity is. This has been getting a lot of attention probably since like mid 2000 teens, from my
Hmm.
recollection, or when like the talk around like, hey, like how much can your brain change, like kind of rewire itself. So that's when that sort of came into like my vernacular, or like those that merged with my experience. And I would say the thing that I really love about the direction of that field of neuroscience is that It's pretty self-evident, to be honest with you, that like you look around and you see somebody that retires and they never got into art, and they're like, man, I'm bored, I need to do something like artsy, and then they get pretty good at it, and you're
Yeah.
like, dang, like before you were drawing like a triangle with a rectangle attached to another triangle. Now I can tell like this is actually like a boat. Like this is has a nautical theme to it. So I'm being a little silly, but it's so like inspiring, and it fills me with like hope and joy to see like videos of like this 90-year-old woman never lifted a day in her life. She was told like if you pick up a 5 pound plate, you'll break your back. And then she just like, I don't know, she gets hooked up with IG, or like she like somebody references it to her in a swim class or something, and she freaking goes to a powerlifting gym and she starts deadlifting, and she's probably all what 130 pounds, and she's like deadlifting her body weight at 90 years old. Like that is some badass s. So to see that kind of thing is so hopeful. And again, it's a situation where it's like no duh that like our at this point in our like human development and like our existence, and I might get like a little philosophical here, why would our brain just have like an off button? Like as soon as we turn like 22, you come out of college as like off. There's no more adapting. Like you can't learn any new behaviors. Like if you have this like poor behavior, like you're stuck with that. That's like as my wife would say, that's choice. And unfortunately, far too many people they fall into that trap. So you're on notice right now, Gainz Nation. If you're like in that place, like, and you feel like you can't make a change, like you absolutely can. Don't succumb to the pressures of the mountain ahead of you. Just worry about that next step, because this is a situation where like if you're kind of like down in the dumps, you're having a hard time, you're being hard on yourself, like you can turn it around. It might not all happen at once, but like that first step is just like maybe getting up out of bed and then saying like I'm gonna think positive today. Maybe it's not getting to the gym 6 times a week. Maybe it's getting to the gym once. Maybe it's not going to the gym at all. Maybe it's just saying like I'm gonna work out once a week. And what's that workout gonna be? Well, Gainz Nation has taught me like I can do pretty intense body weight squats, push-ups, and one other thing, you name it. Put my hands on my feet, and if it's intense enough, then I'm gonna get some like pretty legit benefits from that. If you were to do that, the types of like cognitive benefits you would get, let alone potentially like strength increases, muscle mass increases, given like the proper nutrition criteria, potentially better sleep, less stress, like all across the board, things could start to look up and like in a big way for you. So I love that that's like the way like the field is going. And I'm really happy that you shared that, Antoine.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, it kind of makes sense. I mean, but like you're saying with like the change piece is like, hey, most of the time, like some people do get stuck in that trap, right? Where they after college they do one job, and then like obviously it takes like 60, 70 years, and then they finally try art. So it is obvious, but it is not so obvious too that you're stuck in that trap and you're just staying the same. You're doing the same thing, and like not to keep going on the subject, but like I noticed it when we worked downtown 5 days a week. When we were working in the office, and I would commute during the public transportation on the train. It seemed like people did the same exact thing. They sat on their phones looking down. They were like drinking a pop, they were eating, and they looked like they were just sat down on the train, sat down at work, came on the train, sat down, then they went home, made dinner, sat on the couch. And it just, and you could kind of see the process. It's like, here's someone at 25 starting that, here's someone at 40 doing that, here's someone at 50 doing that, here's someone at 60 doing that, here's someone at 70 doing that. And then like you kind of see like the progressive like traps and like the bad routines that people like set themselves up, not to be negative, right? Just I wanted to bring up like a different side of like Roman's like conversation right there. But like Roman is saying, like if you need help with that, let us know. If you don't know where to start, let us know. And like that's why we started the podcast. That's one of the many reasons. So
yeah, and it's not to say that it's like it's not hard. Like that's a huge piece. It's not to say that it's going to be easy. Like, unfortunately, it's not. Some things in life aren't. But again, when you're looking up at the mountain and you feel like you're in a hole, the goal isn't how to figure out to get to the top of the mountain. The goal is just to figure out how to get to that next step. I just want to share a quick story. It was like a video I saw on YouTube this weekend, but it was super cool, super interesting. So when I was a teenager, I kind of got into parkour, not too much, but I remember we've had like a number of different individuals like come and go through my childhood household, family members, etc. But everyone that came always ended up leaving something. It might have been like a bedroom set, it might have been a pet, you name it. And I remember the talk of the town was that it was like the Long household was a dump. Like literally, people would say this. They'd be like, look at these like poor kids. Like, have you seen their house? Like it's a dump. We literally had like 8 vehicles like parked on the lawn. Like my grandfather was a mechanic, so he would get these vehicles on the cheap, and he was handicapped and had diabetes. So and he was very proud of the fact that he was like, a man and all this stuff. And I can beat anything. So he'd eat candy bars before he'd go into the doctors, and he would get his blood sugar taken, and it'd be like 300, 400. And the doctor would freak out. Like they'd want to like ship him off to the hospital, which is right down the street. His legs would be so large. Like he was a big man, 300 plus, big old belly. He loved jelly donuts from Honeydew, but his legs would be so swollen from essentially his like circulatory system not able to effectively pump blood to his lower extremities, that his legs would just break open. He'd have these open sores, and they would just pus. So my poor mother would be over there like on her hands and knees, this like 300 plus pound guy in a wheelchair, scrubbing him. Yard, absolute mess. People just leaving shit around. So at one point we like were able to like scrum enough like dollars together so we could buy a dumpster, because like, man, the place it was in rough shape. Like if you saw it now and you saw it then, you'd be like, damn, like you guys did work. You went to work. So we had a dumpster, and I remember like with like the hand-me-down clothes, I had all this stuff. I worked the paper route, and I was able to like get enough money together so we get like a camcorder, and we recorded like myself and my brothers. We would do like little stunts. We'd like run on the dumpster and then jump off it and like do like these little flips and stuff like that. It wasn't anything impressive at all. Super newbie stuff. So anywho, I don't need to tell you my whole sob story growing up, but so I have a general interest in parkour. I'm absolutely trash at it, but I saw this parkour video, and it was like, I don't know, maybe like 12 different guys. I think it was in like Scotland or England. It looks like an old beaten down castle that they're in, and it was segmented. So the walls were probably like 15, 20 feet tall, and each of them had an underground path that they could get into their own little segment, and they had to find a way to get out. And some of them were kind of close that you could kind of like press yourself together, like walk yourself up. Most of them were not. Most of them had like these awkward items. Maybe it was like rubble in there, or maybe it was like a really skinny tree, or maybe it was like a piece of driftwood that like just like I don't know how the heck it found a way in there. But anywho, there was one guy that was able to get out on his own, and then he helped others get out, and he helped walk them through the process. And they each had their own journey to walk, and they each had to climb out of their little like cage by themselves. But there was the guy who got out first who was able to help. And then for each consecutive team member, they could further assist. So the whole reason for going all over this whole thing and just cluttering your mind with this story is that, yes, it may be hard right now. We're not saying it's going to be easy to make these positive shifts. You know what those shifts are. But taking that first step and then looking around you to see like what members of your community may be able to help you. Not everyone's going to be willing to extend a hand, but many people will be. And those people are going to be really important, like members in your corner to help get you out of that and start the process on building your way up that mountain. So don't worry about getting to the top of the mountain. Worry about taking that first step. And then when you have the opportunity to look around and potentially share your story and try and connect with others and see if you can bring people into your circle and see if you can both mutually share and connect and assist one another, that I think that's when you'll find that you'll make huge gains in life.
No, I love all of it, buddy. I think we're gonna just stop there because it was like such a great. I actually like the story, and I think a lot of people might need to hear this. So this is like a good way to end. And if you guys need anything, like we said, I think the biggest thing is, what can we do next to be a better version of you? And Roman and I aren't perfect either, and we could tell you probably a million habits we've probably changed over, our combined, 60 years of life. So let us know how we can help. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.